Mr. Duceppe, what is your assessment of the campaign so far, and how have you seen it evolve since the beginning?
Well, I said at the very beginning, even some weeks before it started, because I went touring around Quebec as I do each year from mid-August to mid-September, and I remember the very first meeting I had was August the 6th in Saint-Lambert, and because there was a by-election at that time. And I told people, well, the only party that can stop Harper having a majority is the Bloc Québécois. And I think more and more with the weeks going on, people started to say, well, he's right on that. And Harper's proposals are not corresponding to what we want, are not corresponding to our interest in Quebec, neither our values. So people, and I think this is something that goes around now. People saying, well, we have to stop a Harper majority. And even in Toronto, I mean, Margaret Atwood told me that if I were in Quebec, I would vote Bloc to stop a majority.
Mm-hmm. You're an experienced campaigner. You assess your opponents. What mistakes do you see? At the beginning of the campaign, it looked like Mr. Harper could very well pick up more seats in Quebec. What mistakes do you think he may have made along the way that could cost him those gains he risked making?
I think he came with no plan at all. Just telling people, I'm the leader. I got the leadership. Elect me whatever I think, whatever I do. This is a huge error. I think people were waiting to see, well, what is he proposing? And when he came with some proposals, like the young offenders, like the cuts and culture and things like that, he said, well, we don't want that kind of leader. We don't want those, because we don't want those policies. So he thought he was playing alone. And so was an error not respecting your opponent.
Okay. Why should most of the people who
But
read...
it's not over now.
Mm-hmm. Most of the people who read the Gazette, well, we've got a quarter of our readers are Francophone, most of the rest of them are Anglophone. Why should English Quebecers perhaps consider voting for the Bloc in this election?
Because they're Quebecers just like me. And they know most of them are not supporting sovereignty, that I know. Having said that, we're not deciding sovereignty in the federal election. That has to be done within Quebec under the National Assembly law, and it means a referendum. So we're not in a referendum, and I think they have the same interest as the rest of Quebecers. They live in a society where they know that Kyoto is important, and it's not only good for the planet, it's good economically for Quebec. They know that. They're Quebecers as well as me. I think they realize that we have a different attitude towards the young offender with real success. I think that art is also, not heart, but art is also important for them. And I think foreign policy, they don't see themselves in Harper's foreign policy, and so on. So I think that they have the very same interest and the rest of Quebec has.
The last one, at least, do you see any writings where if the English community were to vote for the Bloc, it could tip the balance and allow the Bloc to win?
Well, I would say in my own writing, there's something like allophones and anglophones, nearly 20%. Some years, depending on the territory, change. It is changing with election. Sometimes it was up to 24%, and it's still a good majority. But in certain writings, I would say not maybe more allophones than anglophones. Anyway, there's more allophones now in Quebec than anglophones, but a lot of them are speaking English. I've been writings in Montreal. A good part of the writings in Montreal, especially in Papineau and Jean Lebay, in Ansic. This is important, and I think we got a pretty good success last time around.
They're going to all be tough races or tight races?
I mean, it's always tight races. Laval-les-Îles also. Laval-les-Îles, and it's Chamédé. There's a lot of people living there, and I think we have a very good candidate, Mohamed Ali Jetta. And that'd be a tough race there also. And I hope they'll support the Bloc.
Thank you.
Thank you.